Nestled in the heart of Doha's Aspire Zone, Villaggio Mall wasn't just a place to shop. It was a symbol of modern Qatar, an architectural marvel that drew visitors from all over. But beneath its grandeur lurked hidden dangers that no one saw coming. On May 28, 2012, an ordinary day took a devastating turn when a fire broke out, quickly turning the mall into a death trap. What followed was chaos, desperate rescue attempts, heartbreaking losses, and a legal battle that left more questions than answers. This is the untold story of the Villaggio Mall fire.
It was one of Qatar's worst moments. The frantic scramble to save lives as a fire took hold in Doha's popular Villaggio Mall.
You see, Villaggio Mall isn't just any shopping center. It's one of the biggest and most popular spots in Qatar. Sitting right in the heart of the Aspire Zone in Doha, this place isn't hard to find. If you're staying at the Aspire Tower Hotel, you can practically walk there. And if you're coming from somewhere else in the city, the metro makes it easy. They built Villaggio Mall alongside the Aspire Zone for the 2006 Asian Games, and ever since, it's been a major attraction. When it opened that same year, Villaggio brought in some of the biggest international names. Whether you're craving a slice from Pizza Hut, looking for the latest sneakers at Foot Locker, or browsing through Marks & Spencer from the UK, this mall has it all. You'll find brands from the US, UK, Italy, and Germany, making it a go-to spot for both locals and tourists. Malls in the Middle East aren't just for shopping. They're a way of life, especially when summer rolls around and the heat becomes unbearable. Families come here to escape the sun and enjoy themselves. Villaggio takes that experience to another level. There's an ice skating rink for those who want to cool down even more, a full theme park for thrill seekers, a movie theater for a laid-back evening, and even indoor gondola rides that make you feel like you're in Venice. But Villaggio Mall is more than just entertainment. It helped shape Doha during a time when the city was booming. Qatar was making waves in the oil and gas industry, with OPEC recognizing it as a top natural gas exporter. The mall became a symbol of that growth and ambition. Then on May 28, 2012, something tragic happened that sent shockwaves throughout Doha. It was a Monday morning in Doha, and the heat was unbearable, pushing 40 degrees Celsius. Inside the Villaggio Mall, the day was moving along like any other. Shoppers browsed, kids sat in restaurants eating, and no one had a clue that disaster was about to strike. Out of nowhere, at around 10 a.m., a fire broke out on the top floor, right inside the Nike store. They say it started from a faulty spotlight, and to make matters worse, there was a bunch of flammable paint nearby. The alarm went off, but it was so weak it might as well have been a doorbell. Between the chatter, the footsteps, and the general mall noise, nobody really noticed. Even as smoke began creeping through the air, people kept going about their day. Kids kept eating, shoppers kept shopping, and no one was rushing to clear the place out. 15 minutes passed before the teachers, who were in the soft play area with their kids, started to worry. They asked one of the employees if they should be concerned. He brushed it off, saying it was probably just another false alarm. By then, the smoke was getting thicker, but people were still acting like everything was normal. Then about 10 minutes later, chaos broke loose. A random person ran through the mall, yelling for everyone to get out. The other side of the mall was on fire. That's when reality hit. But the people running the mall, they had no plan, no clear evacuation, no direction, just confusion. And then the worst happened. The fire got so intense that the stairs leading up to the nursery on the first floor collapsed, leaving children and their teachers trapped. The first call about the fire at Villaggio came in at 11:02 in the morning. Within minutes, police and firefighters were on the scene. But as soon as they arrived, they realized the situation was far worse than they thought. 20 kids were trapped in the nursery, and getting to them became the #1 priority. Thick, choking smoke poured out of the building like 100 steam engines had just gone off at once. The flames made it almost impossible to reach the children, turning the rescue into a nightmare. On top of that, the firefighters didn't have the right floor plans, and the mall's sprinklers weren't working the way they should have. Every second counted, but these obstacles slowed them down. With no clear way in, firefighters had no choice but to break through the roof just to get inside. Thick, black smoke filled the mall, making it nearly impossible to see. They pushed forward, navigating blindly, doing everything in their power to save as many lives as they could. But by the time they reached the nursery, it was already too late for some. Still, they refused to back down, battling the flames with everything they had until the fire was finally out. This was a heartbreaking tragedy, claiming 19 lives, 13 children, 4 teachers, and 2 firefighters. 17 more were injured, including 4 children. But was the fire really an accident or a symptom of deeper systemic flaws? The investigation exposed a harsh truth. The mall's security team took way too long to react. There was no real emergency plan, and the staff had no proper training to handle a crisis like this. When the fire broke out, chaos took over because no one knew what to do. Then came the bombshell. The report laid it all out. Everyone, from the mall owners to the officials responsible for safety inspections, had failed to follow the rules. But the biggest shock? The daycare wasn't even legally allowed to operate. It never should have been open in the first place because it didn't meet the required safety standards. In November 2012, the trial hit a delay and was pushed to December 19th. Defense lawyers weren't about to take the blame alone. They pushed to bring Nike into the case since the fire started in their store. They also wanted to bring in civil defense officials and insurance companies. Prosecutors weren't having it, but the judges agreed to consider it. By June 2013, 5 people were found guilty of causing these deaths due to negligence. The Qatari ambassador to Belgium and his wife, who owned the daycare, were sentenced to 6 years in prison, the maximum allowed. They were also ordered to pay large sums of money to the victims' families. The mall's chairman and deputy managers received the same sentence and financial penalties. A municipal worker who had illegally issued the daycare's license got 5 years in prison. However, the head and deputy of mall security walked away without any charges. While the victims' families welcomed the verdict, they wanted more answers. They demanded that Qatari officials release the full report on what happened. Then, in November 2013, appeals were filed against the verdict. A major debate sparked over whether Gimpanzee was actually a daycare or just a play area. This mattered because it determined how it should have been licensed and regulated. The court ultimately ruled that Gimpanzee was a daycare, which meant it had been operating illegally. In an earlier hearing, a judge examined photos showing alphabet posters and a blackboard, concluding that these suggested educational activities, making it more than just a play space. Then in March 2015, a shocking revelation came out in court. The Nike store, where the fire started, didn't even have the proper safety permits from civil defense. This raised serious questions about why Nike hadn't been held accountable. Meanwhile, the defense lawyers worked hard to downplay the whole tragedy, arguing it was just an unfortunate accident that had been blown up by the media. Questions swirled around whether the mall's fire safety systems had actually been functional that day. Some reports claimed the mall's water pumps were in bad shape, but the defense argued that those pumps were only for the garden, not for firefighting. The mall manager's lawyer even challenged the earlier court's ruling about the length of the fire hoses. Civil defense officials testified that the mall had a legal operating license, despite past concerns about the flammable materials used in its construction in 2006 and again in 2008. Then came a stunning decision. In October 2015, the Court of Appeal overturned the guilty verdicts. The judges claimed some evidence and witness testimonies weren't valid for use in court. Just like that, the 4 convicted individuals were set free. However, the company that owned the mall was still found guilty, opening the door for lawsuits in both the US and Qatar. The judge's reasoning left many people in shock. He threw out all testimonies from the victims' families, saying they were suing the company and therefore biased. Then in a bizarre statement, he argued that even if an exit had been partially blocked, people could have just jumped over it to escape the fire. And to top it off, none of the 5 defendants were even present when the judge delivered his ruling. As if that wasn't enough, Qatar's Attorney General pushed for the decision to be reviewed. In February 2016, Qatar's highest court ordered a new trial, ruling that the original judge hadn't followed the law correctly. 2 months later, a judge decided not to send any of the 5 people to prison. Instead, He punished them by making them pay money to the victims' families. Strangely, he didn't use legal terms like guilty or not guilty when delivering his decision. Some families had already received payments from the defendants, and one lawyer raised concerns about the fairness of it all. He argued that by forcing them to pay, the judge was basically confirming their guilt. The prosecutor had the option to appeal the ruling to a higher court. Meanwhile, the municipal worker convicted of forgery received a reduced sentence, 1 year in prison, but he wouldn't have to actually serve the time. The mall partially reopened in September 2012, just 3 months after the fire. When the families of the children who died found out, they were furious. Nobody from the mall or the government had told them about it. It felt like the place where their children had spent their last moments was just being reopened, like nothing had happened. And to make it worse, they weren't even allowed to visit the mall to privately honor their children's memory. To them, it was like the mall's owners and management didn't care at all. Then in June 2013, the section where the fire had happened was reopened. But something was missing. There was no memorial, no plaque, nothing to acknowledge the lives that were lost. For the families, this was beyond disrespectful. They had already felt ignored, but now it seemed like the tragedy was being completely erased. Did you find this video interesting? Give it a like and subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you will stay updated on new videos about remarkable fire disasters. Also, click the bell icon so you don't miss a single video. What did you think of this story? Let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you in our next video.